The other obvious thing that people forget to do is when you have a small case, don't be afraid to say to the service provider, this is against my interest to tell you this, but don't be afraid to say to the service provider, you know, it's a small case, it's a good client, we have a good relationship with you, can you give us a break on this one? We have a client who really needs some help here. And service providers are, it's not like Monty Hall, let's make a deal, but service providers will go ahead and modify their pricing structure to accommodate your needs. So don't be afraid to ask. Not too often, because I have a wife and 4 daughters, but don't be afraid to ask them.
Are there any questions regarding this topic? Yes, Julie?
I'll ask one. So we talked a lot about targeted collection, and one of the issues I think we face, or challenges we face with targeted collection, is change or altering metadata. And do you have any suggestions for how you handle that?
The question is regarding targeted collection. How do you make sure that the metadata does not get altered?
Oh, sure, the technical guy hands it to me. What's up with that? When we do targeted collections, the one thing that we learned, because we set up a place on a server for folks to drag stuff into, what we found was when they dragged it, obviously metadata was changed. When you're crossing servers, that's the important thing. If you do not cross a server, the metadata is not going to change. So what we did was we set up, if email is on a single server, we set up a mailbox where folks could move stuff to. If they're on a shared drive on various servers because they're on different departments, we set up folders on those shared drives for them to move things into. We had pre-set up folders with the name of the litigation and then each person's name. We asked them under their name if they were bringing it from a different source. So for example, if they were bringing it from a hard drive, a local hard drive, I'm sorry, they're not bringing it from a local hard drive at that point, but if they're bringing it from a departmental folder, if they're bringing it from any other source within that server, they would put that on that folder where it came from. And then all local materials, we asked them to keep it local, to put it on a place on their local drive, and then we literally had folks go out from the company IT department and go and master CDs of that, or through a web crawler. So we've done that a couple different ways with the local drives, but it's all about where it's located on the server and not crossing servers as to whether or not that metadata is going to be altered.
I honestly don't want to say anything. I want to buy my services. I want to buy that myself. That's all great. I mean, you usually use just any type of forensic tool, the guidance software or FPK. But what Steve said, right? As long as you're not crossing over those servers, you're going to preserve that metadata. Just make sure that you are burning some kind of media that's not going to be, that can't be overwritten there. If you take all that time and copy to those servers and then dump it off to an external hard drive, well, you just defeat the purpose. So make sure you put it on some kind of DVD or CD.
We're going to move on to our fourth and final topic, which is products and services designed for smaller e-discovery matters.
The last time I looked on the internet to see how many people say they do e-discovery service providers were over 600. And everybody says they do it the best, they do it the quickest, they do it the cheapest, and we'll watch your career. There are a lot of tools out there, and many of them are extremely good. Some of them are very untested. My advice to you is the following. Make sure that you ask the service provider to give you a beta of any tool that they say can do what they do at their cost. That's number one. Number two, make sure when you have those verified results and the complexities are identified as to what you are doing, you advertise that internally to your own team, your own client, your internal clients. Let them know how good of a job you're doing. Litigation support professionals historically have not been ones to pound their chest to say, look how well we did our jobs. With all these tools out there, lawyers, paralegals, all types of people are inundated with service providers who say they've got all kinds of tools. And if you read Ohio State Bar Association reports, American Bar Association magazines, there are all these tools that the lawyers are reading. And they say, it can't be that difficult anymore. It's your obligation to remind them how difficult it is and how well you're doing. Because otherwise your value is going to be understated. So in terms of tools, there's lots out there. I would say that you should verify and make the vendor, in those instances, pay for that verification.
My comment on the different tools that are out there and for smaller cases is everybody prices very differently, and to really get an accurate comparison of different service providers' offerings, you should apply some educated estimates based on your volume and your number of custodians and all the other things, and calculate out those estimates from each vendor to see what is the true apples-to-apples comparison. Because while one may look perhaps less expensive by the way in which it's been presented to you, it may be in fact, for that particular case, that another option is more affordable. And the other thing I'll say to that is I don't necessarily see one vendor always being the best solution for every case based on variables. Sometimes a large number of custodians versus a relatively small amount of server data is going to have a different vendor be the solution in a particular case versus another scenario. And finally, and I'm sure some people talk specifically about different products, a lot of the products now are coming out with affordable ways to put your data into an advanced review tool, and to sort of look at what your keyword terms have done and sort of pre-review things and realize, wow, maybe that keyword that sounded so perfect is giving us a lot of false hits. Let's edit our review and key term list and rerun that through before we're paying the money to have it all put into an actual review tool. So look for those advanced review services from various vendors.
I just want to speak a little bit actually about one of those review tools. I'm not familiar with Vios or the Renew piece, but I am familiar with Clearwell. And I think one of the advantages there, especially on some of these smaller cases, is just the speed in which we can get these cases up online. We can take 10, 15, 20 gig data and have it up within an hour, which we've gotten those requests several times from people in the area there. It's very easy to set up. It was. It's easy to set up, it's easy to create tag palettes, it's easy to get the review team trained quickly. I don't think we've ever come back for a second training for any of your attorneys, and most of the training lasts 15 to 20 minutes. So that ability to take some of these smaller cases, get them online quickly, and get the review teams going, I think is why.
Okay, and this is the part where I have to remind you, know what you want to do. It costs money to do something with the material that you've collected. So, if you have that targeted collection, and you know at this point, everything that we have collected is important to us, and we more than likely either have to review it and or produce it, you're looking at a very different software platform than the one Nate just described. Let's use an example of Clearwell. Is a wonderful platform. If you are not doing a targeted collection, you just have a lot of data, a lot of volume, and you want to start picking and choosing what's important to you. Because the cost per gigabyte to get it up online is very low, it's very quick, it's fast, it's dirty, and you're out the door with your native files, and then you have to figure out what to do with that collection that you put together. Now you have to get it into a platform where you can produce it, where you can redact, where you can do different things. So I think the point that was made before, know your platform is very important. Now, how many of you